Again, we also have what we call tribunal of inquiry. Tribunal of inquiry is normally set up by government. Now, when tribunal of inquiry set up, when government sets up tribunal of inquiry, this time around, it has to do with judge, court, lawyers handling the case. Now, whatever recommendation that comes out of that tribunal goes back to the federal civil to the commission. When it comes back to the commission looks at the recommendation. Okay, based on these recommendations, we want to do this, we want to do that. And the officer in turn will be notified that based on these recommendations, these and these are what we want to do. That does not mean that a court of law cannot convict an officer. An officer can be convicted by a court of law. An officer who is engaged in rape, the victim can decide to take the officer to court, even without the awareness of the commission. Perhaps after taking the officer to court and the officer is being convicted of, and it is a known fact by the commission that such case is before a court of law. Or, okay, let me put it this way. An officer commits a rape. The victim takes the officer to court. In any case, the victim may also choose to want to notify his or her office that this is what this man has done, this is what this man has not done. After the judgment of the court, if the court says that officer, the office may have taken a position, but waiting for the position of the court. If the officer has taken a position that this officer is guilty and should be dismissed, and on the other side of the court says no. Looking at the case, the woman does not have enough evidence to prove that she's been raped, and as such, this guy cannot be dismissed. The commission cannot dismiss that guy or the lady, or sorry, the officer, based on the judgment of the court. That does not mean that the commission cannot give other punitive punishment or punitive measures to the officer, but that punitive measures will not be centered on the rape case. It could be on other cases which the officer may have committed, but not centering on the judgment that came from the court. So these are the ways through which disciplinary measures in civil service is being conducted. These are the foundational ways through which it's been conducted. Let's look at penalties for misconduct. What are the various measures meted out for erring officers? That's what we're going to be looking at briefly. One could be verbal warning. Verbal warning could be a measure, could be one of the measures. Verbal warning, verbal warning. Two, it could be written, which is query. Just query. Then, three, you reprimand. You can reprimand. You reprimand him, you caution such. Then surcharge. Professor can be surcharged. In the line of carrying out your duty, you made the government to incur more expenses that they ought not to have. Could be surcharged for that. Then again, withholding is a topic we will come to later, but let me just share light on that. When you say withholding simply means there is increment that comes to an officer's salary at the beginning of every year, which we call increment. They call it increment. It's a predetermined amount that is added to an officer's salary at the beginning of every year. A predetermined amount that is added. Now, when we talk about withholding, it could be withheld. That amount could be withheld. It could be used as a punishment. Throughout the year, that officer will not get that amount. Or it could be deferred, either 3 months or 6 months, as the case may be. It could be either withheld or it could be deferred. In withholding, it simply means that throughout the year, that officer will not get that additional money. If it is deferment, they could say, okay, in the first 3 months, you will not get that additional money. By April, you start getting the money, or by July, either 3 months or 6 months, as the case may be. So those two ways are also ways of uh, punishing an erring officer. Then you also have reduction in salary. The salary of an officer could be slashed. It's also a way of punishing an erring officer. Then you can also have reduction in rank. You could be demoted. You could be demoted from grade level 13 to 10, as the case may be. Once an officer is has been established that an officer has committed a particular crime or whatever. Again, an officer could be barred from promotion. Financial misconduct, financial embarrassment. An officer in financial embarrassment can never partake in promotion. An officer who has disciplinary case cannot partake in promotion. So you could be barred from promotion. Then you also have suspension. Let's not confuse the word suspension and interdiction. They are two different things, not similar. Suspension simply means when you say prima facie. Prima facie is a Latin word, means at first sight, at first glance, the nature of the case is quite severe, and in the interest of the public, that officer should not be in office. It is called suspension. At that point, that officer will not be paid anything, be it allowance, whatever name called. He's not entitled to anything, and the officer is asked to stay away from the office. He or she is asked to stay away from the office. Then the next one is interdiction. Interdiction, yes, this officer has disciplinary issue, and looking at the investigation that's ongoing, if this officer is allowed to stay in the office, it may jeopardize the fairness of the conclusion of the matter, and as such, that officer will be asked to stay away from office. However, staying away, the officer will be paid half of his emolument. I didn't say salary, I didn't say salary or allowance. Emolument, because emolument is a combination of your allowance and salary and whatnot. The officer will pay half of his emolument, depending on when the case is resolved. Then we also have retirement. An officer could be asked to retire. So we are punishing an officer. Please retire for the sake of public interest. Please put in your resignation so that you can honorably leave the service. Because when you retire, you are expected to have your pension and gratuity. Honorably leave the office. You are not yet there, but because of certain issues, please retire. Then it could be termination. Termination could also be a way of the appointment could be terminated as a result of misconduct. It could be terminated. Again, one of the penalties for misconduct is transfer or posting. Yes, you could transfer an officer. This young man or this young lady or the officer is unruly. You could decide to transfer the officer to somewhere else where the officer could be well mannered or well cultured. However, transfer, some officers don't really like the word. They are not too comfortable with the word transfer, knowing that where they are going to may not be that conducive for them. So they are like, of course, when transfer is being used as one of the measures for penalties, of course, your guess is good as mine where the officer is going to. Then the ultimate measure or penalty that can be given for misconduct is dismissal. No entitlement, nothing. You are leaving the service. No pension, no gratuity, no salary. Now, in any case, when a case has been concluded that an officer is dismissed, the officer may not be there when it has been concluded. Once it has been concluded that the officer is dismissed, the officer will be notified that he or she has been dismissed. Once the officer has been notified, the dismissal begins. Some officers who know that case will definitely lead to dismissal, what they do, they will try to get to a place where they cannot be notified, because by the PSRO it is when an officer is notified, that is when the dismissal really comes into effect. They look for a means where they want to play smart, want to hide out. The commission will still look for a way to get the officer, to notify the officer. If it is through media, through proxy, or whatever means, they will always ensure, no matter how far the officer goes, they will always ensure that that officer is highly notified. So these are the ways or these are the penalties for misconduct or erring officers in the civil service. However, let's just look at some few questions. Let's just look at some few questions, or let's evaluate so far what we've said so far. Let's see how far we can evaluate ourselves based on what we've discussed so far. Let's just see how we can quickly evaluate ourselves, how far we've gone with the class, our level of understanding, how far we've gone with the class. Okay, the first Q&A is, one of the following is not categorized under scandalous act. One of the following is not categorized under scandalous act. You can see there on the board: unruly, assault, negligence, foul language. Unruly, assault, negligence, foul language. Then again, number 2, a misconduct where an officer feigns illness to avoid duty is known as A, insubordination, B, malingering, C, negligence, D, discourteous. Then number 3, removal of officer shall be approved by A, Director of Accounts, B, Board, C, Director of Discipline, D, Director of Appointment. These are some of these things are things we've discussed in the course of the class. You can see multiple questions that are coming up the slide. Please, at this point, I want you to leave a comment at the comment at the comment section. Perhaps drop your answers there. Leave a comment. If there is anything you want us to do to upgrade this channel, please let us know. Leave a comment, subscribe, hit the subscription button there, like and share this. Until we come your way next time, stay tuned, stay blessed. Thank you very much for listening to us.